It's your girl, Quencie.
We are here with Salt and Pepper. How has Gail made you?
Don't get me crying.
And we are here live at the SAG Awards. Leave a message. What's the biggest lesson motherhood has taught you?
To be honest.
Studio
I'm the
Q.
Q in the studio.
All right, cutie. It's a different world.
Thanks for coming. Thank you for being letting me know you.
It's a mental view of shit over here.
This is probably the best interview I've ever done.
And you're such a great interview. My goodness.
This is honestly the best interview I've had in months.
I'm hanging out with my booskies. Studio Q, baby.
Studio Q show. Now you know.
Happy Wednesday, everybody. It's your girl, Quencie, host and founder of Studio Q. It's a brand new year. It's my first interview of the year. And I'm so excited. We got somebody magical today, y'all. We got somebody magical, and it's his birthday. So I'm super, super excited. Shout out to everybody who's watching this on Studio Q, everybody on the Studio Q Facebook page, everybody who's watching this on the Soul TV Facebook page. Shout out to you guys. Everybody who's watching this on YouTube, my YouTube channel. I'm also streaming this on TikTok as we speak. And anybody who will hear this later on my Quencie podcast or who's going to watch the replay, thank you so much for pressing play on my first interview of the year with the man, the singer, the songwriter, Rashaan Patterson. I mean, this man has been in the game for almost 4 decades. Do you hear me? Like, you know, and so the idea that I get to interview him on his born day is amazing. You know, I wrote a few things down, but like I already know. He's been in the business for so long. I'm honored to get a chance to speak to him. He's in the room. Oh, I see you, Rob. I see you, Rob. Look, I'm only saying Rob because I don't know you like that. I don't know you like that, but I heard other people call you Rob. So I'm like, I see him in the building.
That's fine.
Man, I am so excited to talk to you. First of all, happy
Likewise.
Birthday.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I'm happy to talk to you too.
What?
Yes, absolutely.
Man, boy, that just tickled my fancy right there. That just tickled my fancy. I mean, when the first time I saw you, I heard somebody else say this in one of the interviews that I had researched. Like, I knew you, but I didn't know you.
Right. That's the case for a lot of people. Yeah. Yeah.
And you get that a lot, huh?
I do. And it's okay. You know, one of the perks of being an artist, working artist, is that your work is always there for people to discover. Doesn't matter when they do, you know? Yeah. Well,
your singing and songwriting styles have been compared to Stevie Wonder. Your voice has been compared to, you know, Chaka Khan. Like you run in the great circles, but how do you describe yourself as an artist?
You know, I don't describe myself as an artist through words and conversation. I think it's best described through the work. Yeah.
And can you describe your songwriting process?
Okay. It varies. Usually it takes place in the studio. You know, when I'm listening to tracks that may have been submitted, or if I'm in the studio and I'm working on tracks myself, coming up with them from scratch. But rarely, I'm not one of those songwriters that sits around with a notepad. Okay. I don't do that. I like to do it in the moment of intentionally recording, you know, in the process of making an album. Like once I decide that that's what I'm going to do and I go full throttle in that, then, you know, I put all my energy into that, and that's when I write.
what is that process? How does that process differ when you collaborate with others? Because you've written with some great people, Rochelle Farrell, and like just so many great people. So what is the dynamic when you are with others?
It depends on the scenario. Like if people, there have been songs that other artists have recorded of mine that were original mine and intended for previous albums, but they didn't make the cut, and they heard them and then they recorded them. In other instances, I've had people request for me to write with them. And when that's the case, you know, we go into the studio and, you know, we shoot the shit and vibe and talk and laugh, you know, and with that, I'm able to get a sense of who they are and just contribute to what it is that they want to say. And then, you know, share my melodies and thoughts with them.
Well, I know I read somewhere that like up until the Heroes and Gods album, like, you know, you would come up with a title, or you come up with like, you know, some type of theme, and the songs would kind of batch themselves from that, right?
Yeah.
But not with this album. You said, I'm going to let the music dictate it. Can you talk about the difference, and like, will you do that again?
Well, Heroes and Gods was similar in that way because the title came to me through a song. The song first, back in like 2014. And I was at home and I was working on, the idea came to me musically, and I started to, you know, get on my keyboard and stuff and come up with the track, and then the foundation of the track, and the melody of the chorus came to me, and the words simultaneously. So Heroes and Gods came as a song first, and the title of the song was so good and strong, I felt like, oh, that's the name of the album, you know. And every album ends up being the next chapter from the previous last song on the album. You know, meaning, so, you know, I ended Bluephoria with God, the song God, and then the album, the next album had to be Heroes and Gods. Similarly to all of my previous albums, but normally the album titles have come first. Like when I was making my first album, the title For Love in Stereo came while I was promoting the first album. So, you know, I kind of get shown something and then I have to catch up to it.
Oh, nice. So, but did you, was this process different? Like how it came up seems to be similar, but like how you actually recorded the rest of the album seemed to be different from the past.
Yeah, in the past, once I would decide to like make a record, I would go in and finish it fairly quickly. You know what I'm saying? Even if it took 6 months, you know. But this time it took a couple of years. It took a couple of years. But the beauty of it was that, like I mentioned, the song Heroes and Gods, I started that in 2014.
Wow.
And so, you know, by 2016, 17, I picked it back up, and amongst the other music that I had been writing for that record, I would go in, you know, start the track or feel the track, and then if on that day only a chorus came, I would sing the chorus, write the chorus, and I would leave. I wouldn't force it. You know what I mean? I allowed for it to tell me what it needed when it needed it, you know. And I also just took my time. That's the main part. Like I just took my time to do it. And in comparison to the previous albums where it was like, okay, I'm making a record and we go in and come out with a song every day. I didn't do that.
Yeah.
I didn't do that.
What did that process feel like though? Not doing it how you did it.
It felt like, you know, freeing. in a way, because I was in control of the time frame.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? There was no pressure to, you got to have this album in by this point. And It was just like, I'm doing this when I do it.
Mm-hmm.
And, at that point in time, I began to own that it's my creativity and I get to choose when I,
Mm-hmm.
implement, the process of recording and writing.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody just kind of has to deal with it.
No, listen, I saw a clip where Van Hunt said, I don't know what time or day it is, but Rob took it to a whole nother level. But when you're an ego, he said, and you're that talented, you just got to sit back and ride it. What is it?
Was very sweet.
Yeah. What does it feel like to, be in an industry where first of all, the audience, like the people who love you, they love you deep.
And I love them back. Yeah, they do. And it's a beautiful, wonderful thing. And, that's one of the reasons I was very excited to meet you online prior to this moment, but also to have this moment with you, because to your point and what you just said, when I discovered you and saw your interview with Whitney, it was exactly that. You could see the depth of the love. You could see the respect. You could see the joy. You know what I'm saying? And it was reciprocal. And that is what the purpose of what we do as artists is for. Not only is it for us and sustains our lives, but it does the same for other people. And when you do have those moments with people who genuinely express the depths of their love and admiration for your gift, it's a beautiful thing to experience, and it just really affirms that you're serving your purpose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, just the fact that you saw the interview, I'm like, what? Rashaan know me?
Listen, and that's one of my favorite interviews that I've ever seen of any artist and, a person who supports their craft. It was beautiful. It was absolutely beautiful. And you were honest and she was honest, and one of the reasons it's my favorite is because you connected on a human level. You know what I'm saying? You connected as Black women. You know what I'm saying? And for us, it was real as fuck. You know what I mean? Like, it was real. It was like, yes. You know what I mean? So of her career spanned interviews, that one is probably one of the best out there, I would say.
Are you serious?
Oh, absolutely. For sure.
Man, you're gonna make me cry in this interview. This is about you.
Yeah. But you asked the question.
I
mentioned
did.
how people love you deep, and that came to mind.
Oh, wow. But what does it feel when you're on the reciprocal end of that? Because I heard somewhere that you said, like, it took a while for you to receive the love and embrace it in a way in which it was given. What was that process for you to get the love that, the kind of love I gave Whitney, the kind of love that so many people, they are in this comment section loving you, and I'll get to you guys in a second. I'm not ignoring you. But can you describe the process of people being moved by your art, by your performance, by your songwriting ability, and having the Rashaan Patterson experience, and enveloping that before they ever meet you? What was the process of you being able to receive that, and what did it feel like for you along that way?
Ultimately, I had to grow into my power. I had to grow into the extent of the gift, early on in my solo recording career, like that first album, as a songwriter, it was very vulnerable and transparent. You know what I mean? And I recall when I was 18 and I started writing songs that ended up on my first album, I had to consciously make myself aware, like, yo, as an artist, you are chosen to do it this way. You're not going to be making up stories. You're going to be writing about your experience in your life and sharing your innermost thoughts and feelings about life, about you, about everything that comes to mind that you want to articulate through song. And that's a very transparent and vulnerable place to be.
Yeah.
So having made that choice to do that, when the album came out, it was like, oh shit. You know, like everybody sees me, everybody hears me, you know what I'm saying? And it took a moment to actually face that, you know, and in facing that, it was also facing that people were moved by the work, related to the work, you know, related to me, related to my experience, you know. And not that I ever thought that I was, you know, incapable of people relating to me. But when you put out your first piece of work, you know, and you are a songwriter who is coming from a transparent mode, at that age, you know, at 23, it was like, oh snap, you know, you enter into a different orbit, you know, and from there, it was just me further discovering myself and growing into my artistry further, my manhood, you know, combating all of the industry bullshit, you know, stuff that's thrown at you that you don't ever imagine you're going to have to deal with. And so while you're going through all of that, you know, you do have people who come into your space and they give you the love and all of that. And it's a lot to take on, you know. However, it's when you're receptive to and open to connection with people, it makes it easier.
Yeah. And you and also the way you describe approaching writing music, you're like, I'm not just writing songs, you know, I'm sharing my life, pieces of my life. So what did that I mean, you talked about the exposure, but was there anybody like that knew that you was writing about them?
Oh yeah. Oh, absolutely.
What is that like? Do they have a problem with it? Do they embrace it? I know it's your truth, but
well,
what is that like?
I know from two people in particular that it wasn't easy to be on the other end of the storytelling and be a part of the story and having been a key player in the scenario of the song, you know. However, it was not only my truth, but it was a truth that everybody involved participated in. You know, it was my perspective, and that was accepted and had to be accepted, you know, just as much as I had to accept whatever happened, you know what I'm saying? You know, but yeah, it wasn't easy. And I can't imagine that it would ever be easy, particularly if the song, you know, isn't so loving or, you know, happens to present, you know, some type of harsh wrongdoing of some sort, you know.
And I want to talk about your performance, because like just your how you are on stage, how you because you said, you're not up there dancing, trying to make people applaud. You are in your moment, emoting, feeling what you feel, singing how you sing, connecting how you connect. Can you talk about what it feels like to be up there? Because you said sometimes you go all the way to outer space, and I
Yeah.
want to know, like, what it feel like up there and how
Ooh.
long can you stay?
Well, the length tends to be however long the song is.
Okay.
And you get to do that throughout an entire set. So, with each song you get to travel. The feeling is euphoric, it's oneness with the universe, really. It's kind of hard to describe.
Yeah, no, I see.
But I feel like the feeling that one gets observing that or being in the room with that, the thought that comes of, oh my goodness, and that feeling, that's the closest thing to being able to express it. Like, it's a feeling that doesn't necessarily have a definition, that it can't be defined, really.
Yeah.
But I guess the closest thing would be whatever people experience. If they can put it into words, great. If they can't, that's what it is.
Okay. And I remember I did an interview with Kirk Whalum, and I asked him, when we as an audience come and see you, we're getting a show, right? But you being on stage with the other musicians, it feels like there's a whole other level of communication going on.
Oh yeah, for sure. There's a conversation that's happening, and that is what assists in the ascension.
Okay.
Because everyone on stage musically is communicating and having a conversation and playing a part in the engine being turned on and revved up and then takeoff, and people who are observing that also play a part in it. It's like people standing around watching a rocket take off.
Yeah.
It's very similar to that.
Well, I actually have an example of it. And just for people who don't know what I'm talking about, in one concert, I don't know if you knew she was there, but Rochelle Farrell came up on stage, and let's take a look.
Didn't know that you were gonna be here. Didn't know that you on my left, on my back, on my left. Didn't know.
See, both of y'all, I'm like, I feel like we're witnessing something that's private. You know what I mean? What does it feel like to be up there to be y'all?
It's a gift. It's a blessing. It's beautiful. And that just brought up, a few memories. And she's a monster and a beast and beautiful. And yeah.
But so are you. So
Thank
it's
you. Thank you. Thank you.
so it's like, it's watching two greats
Thank you.
have a conversation, and we get to witness and experience it, but you guys are having a whole other thing going on. Is the magic of your artistry.
Yes, it is indeed. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And, being able to have that communal experience with like-minded or like spirit or, others who come from perhaps a different galaxy, if you will. It's really been something to connect with those entities like her, like Layla Hathaway, like Lettucey, yeah, it's been very comforting for me to have established rapport and relationship with them in this lifetime. I think highly of them and their gifts, and so to be able to have those moments artistically and creatively, it just makes my life that much better.
Well, I want to talk about you being, or what other people say, lots of other people say, underrated. But what I know about what you said is that you never aspired to be mainstream and what everybody thinks is popular. You've always said, like, if I could sing, I'm good. So how do you even look at the term underrated, and how do you receive or reject it?
Well, I receive it because I understand people's intention in using the word or referencing me as being such. I knew early on that my path was not going to be the typical one,
Yeah. How early did you know that? How early did you know that?
Probably like 7 or 8.
Wow. You special. Wow.
7 or 8. And to be frank, I wasn't pleased with the knowing and the clarity of that being the case. Like, it made me scared for the future as a little boy. Like, I felt an immense pressure before anything ever happened to me career-wise, and I didn't know what it was about. I didn't know where it was coming from. I just know that there was a feeling that was overwhelming. And once I started to sing more and be supported by family members, like my grandmother, my sister, my parents, just in terms of nudging me along and making me aware that the gift of singing was something that I had, then it started to make more sense, and then when I had gone to California and was on TV singing and stuff, then it was like, oh, okay, you know, and then there was a period of rejecting the responsibility.
Explain further what responsibility are you speaking of?
The responsibility of truly walking in your purpose.
Mm.
You know, like you hear people say, well, it's not my responsibility. Y'all got to raise your kids. Y'all got to tell them what they should be playing and listening to. True. There's also a part of, I think, our nature as spiritual beings that come here with an innate understanding of how we should really be living, you know, in terms of being connected and on one accord. You know, I think there's a tendency for us to forget that. And it's okay because everybody has the right to walk their path to get to further enlightenment and back to understanding and walking the walk that we're all supposed to be doing together. But there was a period where the pressure of that is, the whole idea is like, I don't want that.
Right.
And I think that that's the case for a lot of people who assume the role of artists without fully getting the magnitude of it. Because there is first the responsibility to yourself and your spirit. You know what I'm saying? And honoring that truth. You know what I mean? And again, everybody has the right to go down whatever paths and go through whatever doors they need to go through to get back to who they are. I just believe that there's an innate knowing that we all come equipped with. And I believe time has presented that we are capable of what we imagine to be the most kumbaya moment in the world.
Yeah.
But it takes a lot of full clarity and connection to the universe for that to occur.
Yeah.
And it's not mandatory, because when you have that for yourself, that's enough. Quite honestly.
I love that. Yeah, you expanded on that thing. Yes. And you know, you spoke about going to California and, like, you know, your grandmother kind of nudging you and forcing you to sing in the church. Your sister saying, come on, sing at this talent show.
Exactly.
You know, but you said when you got that call, and I got to put this in here, from Chip Fields, okay, Tootie's mama.
Tootie's
mama.
Burning kids with irons.
Hitty's mama.
Yeah.
The great Chip Fields, though, because she has helped and groomed and so many of our stars out there Chip has worked with. And you got that call to, what did you sing, like a Patti LaBelle song?
I sang the first line of If Only You Knew. And the story is, I was in the bed on a Wednesday night in the Bronx, and it was August, so we didn't have school. And my mother came in the room and she was like, Rashaan, Tootie's mother's on the phone.
I'm glad she said Tootie's mother.
Tootie's mother's on the phone and she wants you to sing something for her. So I get up, go in my father's room. I get on the phone and she's like, hey, baby, can you sing me something real quick? So I sing the first line of If Only You Know. And she says, okay, put your mama back on. And I go back to bed. I get to bed like, whoop. And then my mother comes back in minutes later and she's like, okay, you got to wake up because you're going to pack a bag and you're going to go to California tomorrow and you're going to audition for a TV show. And if you don't get the part, she'll send you back home. And if you get the part, you're going to live with her and Tootie for a little while until somebody from our family comes out.
Wow.
And so next thing I know, Thursday morning, I wake up and my father's driving me around to say goodbye to my family. And then I go to the airport and I get on a plane by myself. Never been on a plane at 10 before, ever. And I land in Los Angeles. And when I get out from the plane and come up the jetway, walkway thing, I see Tootie and I see Chip Fields and I see her daughter Alexis, who was 3 at the time.
Oh, wow.
And we got in her car and we drove from the airport to Pico Boulevard in La Brea.
Okay, I know where that is.
And there used to be a Golden Bird right there, like in this mini mall shopping center, but she had a conservatory where she had, you know, kids up to like 18, 19, 20 years old. She was producing a play, but it was also where youth went to learn singing and dancing and acting and all that stuff. And so she put me in the play immediately the day I landed. So she never intended on sending me home. And Friday came and I auditioned. She took me to the audition and I auditioned for Kids Incorporated. And then Monday I started work. I started work at like 6 a.m. Had to be up to be there at 7, you know, and going through makeup and all that stuff. And like, we would have to be on set to start work at like 8 o'clock. And my whole life.
Your 10-year-old mind with this. This is like overnight. Literally. And how did Tootie's mama know you could sing? Who told her about you?
Okay, so my sister's friend, we all went to the same school in the Bronx. I was in the elementary part. They were in the junior high part. And my sister's friend was in Cali visiting Chip and Kim because that's her cousin situation. And the producers from the show asked her, Chip, you know, if she could, you know, give them a kid who could sing. And she happened to ask her niece, you know, any little black boys who could sing? And she said, yeah, my friend's little brother can sing. Wow. And so they called me that night.
Oh my goodness.
And then the next day, my whole life was like
change.
Change.
Well, I see in the comments, Miss Myasha, I'm sorry if I'm messing up your name. I wonder if there was any trauma behind having to say goodbye to your family and if it affected your feelings about the industry.
I was having this conversation with my oldest sister the other day. Because in reflecting about what that time was for me, I felt alone, you know. I had to grow up faster, you know, because I was put in a situation where I had to be on my own. You know, I'm living essentially with strangers. I see them on TV, but I don't know these people.
Right.
You know, and I don't have the comfort and security of my grandmother and grandfather anymore, my father and mother, my sisters. And it was interesting because, you know, children adapt so easily to whatever's going on. So by day, I'm on Kids Incorporated singing and dancing in costumes and with other kids who are singing and dancing. So it's a world of like, oh, this is fun. And then in the evening, I would go and do the play that she put me in, that she was directing. That was a religious-based play, musical. And then I'd get home at like 12 o'clock at night and get into bed and be like, where is everybody? Like, you know, sleeping in the other bedroom and my sisters are not there. I'm not arguing with them. You know what I'm saying? We not trading food. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it was rough, you know, and with that experience, it conditioned me to, in a lot of ways, like be easily adaptable with being on my own and alone.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying?
That's
And
where that solitude came from, huh?
well, that was the start of it, now, it makes it possible for me to exist in a way where, like, I know I'm loved. I know I have friends and family that I love, but I'm also able to be on my own and alone in the world. I'll miss people, but the need for certain tangible things, not so much.
Wow.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's interesting.
But I'm also listening like, I'm like, you was working 100 hours a day. Not just, the trauma, the solitude, the family, that's its own thing. But I'm thinking, where the child labor laws? Because you was
well, okay. Now the child labor laws were absolutely in place during the day for the TV show. And I'm grateful for the experience though, because that created my ability to be professional.
Mm-hmm.
It also gave me stamina to be able to do what I do, you know what I'm saying, and do it as long as I've been doing it.
And at the level,
Rashaan. Right, exactly, which is a blessing, and I'm grateful for that. But yeah, when I look back, there are moments today where I'm like, I could retire.
Seriously.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I be feeling like, oh shit. And I think of almost 40-year career of doing anything, you would get to that place of like, now I can just, and there's still joy in doing what I do. I just understand and have to allow for the truth to hit me that I've been doing this as long as I have, and I have a right to feel how I feel about it. Regardless of what other people think or feel. And it's my choice. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I don't plan on not creating anymore. Just moments where it's like, okay, next.
Right. And that brings up a thought of when people ask you, when's the next album? When's the next album? And you're like, I have to live life.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I have to have something to say. I'm not a person who's just going to say something just to be saying something. And not to mention what you just shared with us about working since you were 10 as an adult.
Yeah.
Because it was a kid show, but you had adult responsibility.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I understand when people say, where's the next record? And if I'm in the mood to respond, it's a response that is acknowledging their support and desire for another album. I also feel that what I have put out is a substantial amount of energy and love, quality. None of it is filler,
Timeless.
It's it's enough to feed on for eternity.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And I look forward to continuing to create and make art when it hits me, you know, when I feel it's time for me to do that. But yeah.
Because you like, I got to have something to say. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I have to be propelled and compelled to want to do it. You know what I mean? And again, like, work that's out there is there for people to discover still. You know, and if they discover it tomorrow and they decide to take the journey from the beginning to now, they won't need another record.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? For a while.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. No, I feel that. Now, you're never one of these artists who pretended to be something that you're not. You said being who you are is just, it's just not any other option. How did you arrive at your authentic self so early? And I'm only saying that because people work hard to be authentic. You know, some people just are, but there are a whole bunch of humans out here who have to shed masks to be who they are. And it just seems like you've known who you are for a very long time. And how did that come to be? Was it just innate, or?
It was from my family. You know I say this all the time, but it's the truth. We were raised to be us. You know what I'm saying? Like, we were raised to know where we come from. We were raised to know the gifts we have. We were raised to know where the gifts come from. We were raised to know that there's only one of us, each of us, you know what I mean? Like, and we were raised with the right to express ourselves. Even if you got fucked up for it, you could still say what you was going to say. You know what I mean?
Right.
And my whole family, that's just how we were raised, and I'm grateful for that. And I recognize over time, it was clearer that not everybody is or was fortunate enough to have that type of upbringing, which instills in you early that you have a right to be who you are. You know, and as long as you're respectful of others, you know, and you're not intentionally harming or hurting people, and you're minding your business, you know, do you, you know? And I grew up looking at the elders in my family live, you know, even being religious. You know,
love that.
Live. You know what I'm saying? My aunt, who was a bishop, she had a different walk and a different path, so she didn't live the way her siblings did.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So we were able to witness real life with real people, but also have a foundation rooted in spirit and church, you know, and God. And we also had the right, and we're given the space to find our own relationship with God and the source. You know what I'm saying? Early on, it was, you know, holiness, church, deliverance, you know, that whole experience. But as we got older, it was like, you know, you walk your path, you find what works for you, and you do that.
Now, there are so many singers out here who wasn't raised in the church. I feel like this is the first time in history, really, that we got a bunch of singers now who weren't raised in the church, like you singing in the church and everything like that. Can you talk about how singing, even though your grandma nudged you to do it, serves as the foundation, you know, or foundation foundational part in your artistry? Like, you know, just that being your roots, how does it speak to your
It's an
artist?
immediate connection to spirit.
Okay.
Period. It's a connection to the source. Period.
Mm-hmm.
You know, which is why a lot of the music that is newer from the performers who did not have that experience, and not that that's the only way that you can be connected to spirit.
Right.
However, in comparison to the generations prior who were raised in that, the output of work really tapped into your spirit. Now it just kind of taps into, you know, making people want to do a booty dance.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, and not to say that that doesn't connect to spirit in some way or part of spirit. But yeah, it's having that as a foundation, and growing up that way for me was an immediate connection to God, and that there's something greater than you, and that there's a purpose that needs to be served in terms of healing or assisting in the healing of humanity.
I don't know. I felt I need the tambourine on the end of that. Like, that's real.
You know? And I think that is a key element is missing to some extent for a lot of what is being pushed as music currently. I feel like the aspect of healing and being intentional, similar to, like, I was watching the Dionne Warwick documentary the other day, and, you know, Snoop was sharing how she called them all in, you know, and told them what she told them, and they got it though. Like, he got the lesson and shifted, you know, his consciousness, and then his work shifted. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And there just seems to be a lack of awareness that could be dedicated to the healing of our existence in totality. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And it's as simple as adjusting your mindset and your pen.
Yeah, because you said music saved your life, you know,
right? And as it does for the generations who are doing it now. You know, they have their favorite performers and singers, you know, and I think also there's the element, quite frankly, of people wanting to achieve success rooted in needing attention. Yeah. And wanting to be rich and live an existence that is, you know, lifestyles of the rich and famous type. You know what I'm saying? And to each his own, and congrats to everybody who, you know, makes their dream come true. As it pertains to work that could be done that's spirit rooted, you know, and life altering in the most positive way. I think that work still needs to be done on a grand scale, you know, particularly with the industry being how it is now, and the things that younger generations are aspiring to. Not all of, you know, the younger folks, but, you know, when you turn on our radio, or you turn on, and you just look at what's being forced for us to look at and respond to, you know, when you travel to different countries and you are able to look at us from over there, it's not always pretty. you know, it looks maddening. It
Wow.
looks like nuts.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Because everybody doesn't have that experience of going to different countries. Like you go and perform all, you know, over the world. So
Yeah,
you get to look at us through their eyes as well. You know,
totally.
that's your
And you get to further understand that as Americans, you know, we don't have the history that these other countries do.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you're talking about countries that have existed, you know, in ancient times.
Yeah.
You know, and as Americans, we're still learning and we're still trying to figure it out. You know,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. What lesson do you feel has taken you the longest to learn?
Probably being non-emotionally reactive.
Mm.
You know, I'm much better than I was. However, moments still arise where I have to internally check myself, like, and pull myself back.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Okay. Another thing that I learned about you, which was very shocking, is that you said even though people, and anybody who's watching this right now will probably walk away with this description, that calm,
Right.
thoughtful, but on the inside sometimes, maybe not in this moment, that anxious.
Yeah. Yeah.
Can you talk about that duality of how you come across one way, but you are all over the place sometimes inside?
I believe that the being all over the place inside with anxiety at times, I think a lot of that stems from the creative part.
Okay.
You know, I think I need that to be responsive to emotion and things so that I can make sense of it and then create.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Okay.
My nature, though, is very observant and quiet. My nature is that. But I'm definitely sensitive to other energies. So, you know, another reason why I spend a lot of time alone.
I love that answer. Back in 2001, you opened for, you know, Rufus and Chaka Khan and Earth, Wind and Fire, and you said, like, you know, that was another nerve-wracking experience because it was arenas, right?
Yeah.
You know, so talk about Rashaan Patterson, the performer, you know, in the arena version versus the intimate, and would you go back to arenas or talk about your experience as a performer in those realms?
This stage of my career and my experience on various stages, sizes, rooms, I'm able to do what I need to do to connect with the people. At the time of touring with Earth, Wind and Fire and Rufus and Chaka Khan, I was still very much more secure having band members with me. You know, like a team, like a gang, like my people. You know what I mean?
Right.
And in that scenario, you know, you got Earth, Wind and Fire with a big ass band. You know, you had Rufus and Chaka, which was smaller, but she had her backup. She had her crew.
Right.
And for me at the time, I was only allowed 2 singers, and not allowed, what I could afford. What was, you know, enough for me to make a little coin and be able to pay people.
Right.
I took two singers and a keyboard player who also played guitar, and Jamie Jazz, who I've worked with on my, he was the musician that came with me on that tour, and Trina Broussard and Robert Valverde came as the singers. And in my mind, when they first presented to me, oh, you know, they want you to go on tour with them or with the Fire Groups, I was like, oh shit, y'all, I'm gonna bring my band, it's gonna be dope. And then it was like, but you can't really afford to do that. So you have to chop it down. And it devastated me. I was like, oh, you know, mainly because, again, I felt more secure also at that time, having my people there and knowing that we were going to be on this tour in arenas, this big ass rooms. And I'm just like on some acapella damn near, you know? So, however, it was that tour that reminded me that simplicity is key. And that setup allowed for people to really hear my voice.
Yeah.
To hear my songs, to hear my heart, you know? And it wasn't in the middle of bass and drums and this and that. It was just
one mic.
Yeah. And it was that tour that solidified that for me. Like, you can do this, you can use your gift at any capacity. You know, like, you don't need 12 people on stage with you. You know, your voice will carry you, your heart, your purity will carry you, your songs will carry you, and they will be impactful, the same, you know? And I appreciated it in hindsight, you know, once it was all said and done, because it was a different approach. You know? And I'm always here for the alternative approach than what everybody else is doing.
Oh, so it was a teachable experience.
Absolutely. As frightening as it was.
It was frightening for you?
Oh my God. Like, you know, when you go into certain parts of the US, you know, in 2001, and you on stage in these big ass arenas, and 3/4 of the room is empty because they know that Chaka and Rufus ain't on yet, and Earth, Wind and Fire ain't coming on.
We get my popcorn.
Exactly.
I'll meet y'all outside.
We can get gas. You know, we can do all kind of shit before we go. So a lot of times I was performing for people who specifically were like, we're going to arrive so that we can see him, because they had purchased my albums and were supporters of what I do. And so that was lovely to feel. But then there were also moments where, you know, you'd hear people, I'd see people walking in and they'd be sitting down and they see, who the fuck is that? You know, just like, you know, just things that you gotta deal with at the level that you're at.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And all of those things you need to process, because it's a part of your development and your understanding of what this thing really is about. And you get to learn what you're capable of. Because, you know, some people don't survive this.
Yes, they don't.
Some people have these desires to do it, and they get in there and then they run away, because it's no joke. You know, and it's a lot to take on, and it's a lot to feel, you know what I mean? Like, you know, and I've had all those moments, you know, and those experiences which have taught me and brought me to the place that I am now with the experience that I have.
When you left Kids Incorporated and you went on tour with Martika, what did that experience, teach you? Like just listening to you talk about the Earth, Wind, and Fire, like you were so much younger then, but what did that teach you that the show could never teach you?
The music business, because television industry is different,
right?
Hollywood is very different.
Mm-hmm.
You have less control in Hollywood than you do in the music industry when you're the artist.
Okay.
Singing with her was intentional because I wanted to at least get a taste of what I was going to have to experience as a solo artist.
Did you get it?
Oh, absolutely. I did. However, similar to imagining, the death of a parent, you don't really know it. You don't really know until you experience it.
Yeah. You
can look from the sidelines, but once you walk that particular path, then you get it. So, I learned a lot in the background, and I was observing her having to deal with record industry stuff. And I knew that I would have to, take on some of that in my own career. But she was also not a Black male who was queer.
Right. Big difference.
Big difference. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So that whole thing was a different experience.
Man.
But I learned so much, and I got to see the world,
That's what I'm talking about.
At an early age, I got to really see the world and also support her.
Yeah.
So I know what it is to support a singer as a background singer. You know what I'm saying? And that's a whole different job position to hold also. And it's meaningful.
Sure. And it's needed.
Absolutely. Yeah.
It's so needed. It's so needed. Well, I want to know, like, how growing up in the church, being in the music industry where, people want you to have videos where you're with girls, but you ain't about that life, and you're confident about who you are, and you don't have to put on a facade because, as you said, your parents raised you to be that who you are was enough.
Right.
Can you just talk about growing up, in that environment, as an artist, like, being queer, being in the music industry and being authentic, and everything outside of you is pushing against that?
It has been trying, however, going back to what I mentioned before, like I knew that my path was not going to be typical, so I, in some ways, had mentally prepared myself and had some sort of armor, to be able to like stand up for myself, push through and not believe a lot of the things that they attempt to make you believe about yourself. The doubt that they attempt to instill in you, and they tried it many times.
I know they did.
Many, many, many times, and, I just pushed through and had the support of managers, attorneys, who, in my case, when I have my record deals and all that the one stipulation that was mandatory for me was that they have to put my records out. So, it wasn't going to be a case of, oh, you got a record deal and you make a record and then we just put it on the shelf.
Because that happens, people.
It happens all the time.
Mhm.
And so I'm grateful that, you know, I had people in support of me to be able to make sure that I was provided with that.
Mhm.
You know, because people don't know what they don't know. So when you put a record out, some people know. And that's how they discover. That's how they learn who you are. And that's how they end up coming to your shows for 30 years. You know what I'm saying? Versus some stories, unfortunate ones, where people reach the dream and then it gets cut off. You know what I mean? But yeah, I'm grateful to my family because genetically and spiritually, like, that's the main reason I've been able to survive.
Wow.
Through this whole thing.
Wow.
You know?
And you come from the church, so I would think that you would get pushed back before you even hit the industry, you know?
Nah, but that's what I'm saying. Like, my grandmother, who was, you know, the mother of my family's church, and my aunt, who was the pastor of our church, they were aware that the gift would create space for me to utilize it.
Okay.
And they told me that. And they poured into me in that way. And, you know, we couldn't sing secular music in my grandmother's house, but she knew that when we went to our own homes, that life was happening. You know what I mean? So as kids, again, we were witnessing life happen. So when the opportunity came for me to go to Hollywood and be on TV and sing songs of the day, pop music and all that, they didn't resist that.
Yeah.
It was supported.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So as religious as she was, it was like, hey, go do the work that you've been put here to do.
Yeah. And you were doing it, you know?
Right. And I'm, again, blessed to have that level of support for my entire life.
When you spoke a bit about the pushback and everything, you know, I think of a song on the Bluephoria album, Nothing Can Stop Me From Singing on the Mountaintop. And when I think of you, you're always singing from the mountaintop, right? But has there ever been times in your life, in your career, where you was at the bottom of that mountain?
Oh, absolutely. During that Wines and Spirits period, which was my 4th album. You know, songs like Pitch Black, Stop Breaking My Heart, even, you know, that was a period where it was quite dark for me. Also, After Hours was a darker period. And both of those records were created during a time of grieving. Okay. The passing and transitioning of my father. So 4 years in, 2 years in actually, 2 years after his transition, I started working on After Hours. And no, that's not true. I started working on it 2 months after he passed away. And it wasn't until 2 years after that it started to really impact me. And I started to feel the loss.
Wow. So it took some time.
Oh, God, yeah. It took some time. It took a lot of time, and it took a lot out of me emotionally. And so both of those records were created in darker periods as a result of grieving.
Yeah. Well, did the music serve as therapy for you?
Absolutely. Like, when I started recording After Hours 2 months after he passed away, I knew I had to go to work.
Okay.
I knew I had to be in the studio. I had to be creative. I had to be on the road. I had to be with my people creating music and singing, because if I weren't, it wouldn't have been good.
What was your daddy like?
Oh, he was funny. He was a singer too.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he could sing. He could emulate anybody. He used to emulate Frankie Beverly really well. I mean, like literally, like if you just heard him and didn't see him emulating Frankie, you would think it was Frankie.
Oh, wow.
James Brown, he could emulate very well. But he was funny. He was very charismatic.
Mm-hmm.
And he loved music. He loved great art. You know, he's responsible for the level of passion that I have for music and art.
Mm.
He was, you know, my parents were Studio 54 era parents. And so, you know, my daddy would come home mad late, early in the morning, you know, 4 hours before having to wake up to go to work. And, you know, he always had a DJ set up, 2 turntables, mixer, albums, all that. And my room would always be against the wall from the living room. So he would come in mad late, lit, and turn and play music at 3, 4 in the morning, loud.
Wow.
And literally, it would wake me up. You know? And when he would do that, though, I would be excited.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And then he would come in my room and he would pull me out to bed, and he would stand out. He would bring me out in front of the turntables and the speakers, and he would make me listen to certain parts of certain songs over and over and over. Like, you know, he would describe what was happening in the song. He would ask me if I could hear the melody of what a guitar was playing. You know what I mean? And he just awakened me to have the ear to be able to listen and dissect, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And that level of dissection and focus created the passion that I have, which ultimately has helped to mold me into the artist that I am, to make the music that I do.
I feel like you was in a master class.
Totally. Just standing there with him at 4 in the morning while he high as hell. You know, and, you know, just really pouring into me and giving me a gift.
Mm-hmm.
Giving a gift of music and teaching me that every element of the song is important, and the power of each instrument that's being played by someone and what that person is contributing to the overall impact of the song.
Come on, Dad.
I mean,
come on, Dad.
And you know, I'm 5, 6, 7 standing there like, you know, but he wouldn't send me to bed. I couldn't go back to bed until he saw that I got what he was saying. So he would play certain parts over and over and over, which is part of my problem if I'm in the car listening to music. Like, you know, I'm rewinding shit still. Like,
wow. It's because it's part of your foundation. It's part of your foundation. What did your parents and your family think of, you know, your success, your career? You know what I mean? Like, what did they think, or what do they think of Rashaan Patterson out in the world? Like, you know, they see you, they grew up with you, but all that has paid off. Like, you're doing what your daddy influence you to do? Singing at
mhm,
grandma's, your sister, like they
mhm,
all had a part. Because I think you even said that first album was to say
mhm.
y'all, it paid off.
Yes,
I got the
yes,
album. I'm on MCA. It paid
right,
off.
right. And that first album was certainly a gift to my family and my father and mother, that they had done well, and then I listened and then I heard him, ultimately they are proud, and I'm more clear um, about the extent of the pride because now I get to see younger people in my family who I support and want to see the best for and provide and nudge, and their accomplishments so far. I mean, the level of pride that I feel, and they're just, my little cousins, is monumental. So
Yeah.
I can imagine, what my parents feel, what my father felt, with every album I released prior to his passing and seeing me in concert. And, I know that they feel like they did what they needed to do.
Yeah, because it's one thing when you they baby, you they brother, you they cousin, but it's another thing, like you going to work with your mom or you going to work with your dad, like they see you on stage,
Yeah,
the embodiment of everything, plus you coming through there, the spirit
absolutely,
there.
absolutely, and it's still like that with my mother, who graduated from performing arts high school, as an actress and theater and all that. She, who is the one who said, "You're packing this bag, you going to Little Foodie, and this is what you're doing."
And you said she was your first guide too.
Exactly. So, with that being said, it was very interesting to have such a closeness and connection to her before coming to California because, when my mother went to the bathroom, I had to go to the bathroom with her to make sure she was in the bathroom, It was that kind of like, where you at? Where you at?
I love it.
But the moment she said to me, this is what you're going to do. You're going to go to California, I believed it and I knew it. And I, and from that moment, the little boy that needed to follow her around was gone. Once that was the plan and she articulated that, I just knew like, okay, this is the next part. I got to go do this because my mother said,
yeah. I know, but it's like so wild because you were so young.
Yeah, 10. But as far as her pride today, like she comes to my shows when she can, and I get to see and feel as an adult, the pride that she carries and the love that she has for me, and still the pride of seeing your child be free.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you get to see that reflected in her eyes.
Totally.
Yeah.
And my father's similar. Like they get to see their child be free and walk in his truth and just do him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You talked a little bit about like your little cousin stuff. Who's the little kids that you put on your Instagram? Because every time I see a picture with you and them, I think the movie Crooklyn. I think they're so beautiful.
Right. Thank you so much. Those are my second cousins. Their mother passed away back in 2015 and by suicide. And so the children at the time were present, for all of that. And so I don't know what that experience is. When that happened, my mother went back to New York to take care of them also with her sister, who is their grandmother. And my mother put them in the world of Kids Incorporated right after that happened. So she was playing videotapes and stuff for them. So they were put into that whole world of what that show was. As well as, you know, recognizing, oh, that's your cousin who comes over and blah, 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 blah. And from there, it really forged a bond between us. For me, mainly because, you know, I'm a family person anyway. So that's just innately who I am, what I do, support and love my family. But those babies, at the time, they were like 4. The twins were 4, and then it was like 5, and then 6, and then the oldest was 10 when that happened. And it was traumatic for all of us, but for them, even more so, having been present. And so they essentially were gifted to me and the rest of us. Like, you know, I don't have my own kids, but I got them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That whole village thing.
Exactly. And, you know, I just love them to death and want to just continue to provide love and an ear and just be there for them as they transition into teenagers.
Yeah.
And, you know,
I'm so happy that you're there for them. Like the joy that I see coming through those pictures, you know, just warms my heart every time I see it, you know?
Yeah. I mean, those are my babies and they bring me so much joy. You know, and they keep my inner child alive, you know.
And that's good. That is good. Well, before I get to this lightning round, this Rashaan Patterson lightning round, I wanted to play a clip by Chaka Khan because I was watching this interview. But I got a picture of you and her. I love this picture. Yeah, look at this one. Come on now. Yes. Come on. That's an album cover, really. That's really an album cover, right?
Oh, that's my baby.
Yes. And I was watching, you know, in my research of you, I was watching, you know, Vlad TV interview, and Lunel had asked Chaka, and y'all got to go to YouTube if y'all want to see what she said about not working with other people.
Ariana Grande.
But let's see what she said about working with your boy right here. Hold on.
Great Come on, who haven't you worked with? My God.
A lot of
people. Who haven't you worked with that you would like to work with?
I love Rashaan Patterson.
Oh, yeah. Oh, he'll love it.
And one day we are going to sing something together. One day we'll work together.
What does it feel like to hear somebody you grew up with listening to? Rufus, first Rufus, then Rufus and Chaka Khan, then Chaka Khan.
Right. It feels like a dream. And then it feels like reality.
I love
you
that.
know. It's still, there's still moments where it's like, oh man, is this really happening? And then, yes, it is really happening.
Yes.
Yes, you are really sitting with her in her house and chilling with her and yeah. But that's my heart right there.
I love that. Can you tell me, like, you know, the Rochelle Farrells, the Layla Hathaways, the, you know, and Chaka Khan, you know, that's a whole other level just because you were listening to her as a kid. How have you been able, maybe because you're an artist and people look to you the same way you may have looked at her, how are you able to set aside that, like you said, sometimes it's real, sometimes it's whatever? Because one thing that I don't think I was, if I was able to master, is my starstruckness of Whitney. I was too,
Right.
listen, I made her say friend instead of fanatic because I didn't like that word.
Yeah.
And I knew that, you know, if she saw me again, I knew she would associate me with that show, but I didn't want that word to be associated with it. But Whitney was open, you know, I could have been, but I was too starstruck. You get what I'm saying?
I do.
So how have you been able, and I don't know if it's easier for you because you are what they are as well. And you have, you know, an audience that loves you like you may love them. So can you tell me how you've been able to have friendships with people that you admire?
One reason is they tend to be, in Chaka's case, normal. You know what I mean? Like really normal, like your auntie, like, you know, like on some real at the house chilling, like unbothered and just, you know, in a moo chilling.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's a part of it. The other part is that what made it easier for me to not remain starstruck, because immediately if I respect somebody and love somebody to that extent, an artist, my first reaction is starstruck. You know what I'm saying? But then it sinks in that I do what they do. And what makes it relatable when people have those moments with me is because I still have those moments.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So when people are like, oh my God, I'm like, baby, I understand. Like, I get it. and you know, and I respect it and I receive it. But you also just kind of wait for them to come down.
Okay.
You know, once they get that you're present, you know, and that you're tangible and they can touch you and they can talk to you and have a conversation and they can feel your normalcy to some extent.
Yeah.
And then it, you know, makes it easier, you know.
Man, I wish I could have talked to you before Whitney passed.
But no, that's also what made that interview so special.
Oh.
You know, that's what made it so special. And I'm gonna tell you, I go back and watch that periodically so that I can laugh. So that I can laugh, you know, because when you make a person like us stand up and turn around and laugh, you a funny mug. You're a funny mug. You know?
It was a one moment in time, you know.
Yeah, it was beautiful.
And now we have come to the Rashaan Patterson lightning round. Okay, so that means, you know what I'm saying, if you want to pontificate, you can. I call it a lightning round, but people, it don't be fast.
Okay. I'll do my best to be fast.
Yeah, it's cool. No, it's cool. Do you. It's your birthday.
Yes,
it's
it is.
Your birthday. Okay.
Yes.
Late nights or early mornings?
Late nights.
What makes Rashaan the most anxious?
Right before I go on stage.
Okay. Favorite Rashaan song and album?
A favorite of my own?
Yeah. You creating this magic for us.
I'm
you can tell me. I know it's your babies. All of them are your babies.
And they all are great. And they all represent a specific time. Yeah. And no one point in time is better than the other for me in terms of the music representing those periods.
Gotcha.
However, I will say Heroes and Gods is one work that really encapsulates my whole discography. It represents all of my recordings and is just a progressive and reflective piece of work that mirrors everything that I've done.
Mm-hmm. So if we want to get to know Rashaan right now, from now until way back then, we could pick up Heroes and Gods and play it from beginning to end and know who you are.
Yeah.
Yeah. And when you reimagine it, because that's what got me through my workout this morning. When you reimagined it in 2021 and took it to the club,
right.
That was powerful as well.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. You got to pick one. The song you co-wrote, "Baby" by Brandy. Everybody know. Come on, that's a platinum hit. "Back to the World" by Tevin Campbell, or "Ghost" that Jody Watley sang. These are all songs that Rashaan wrote, but I'm gonna have him pick one.
Baby.
The number one. Baby.
Baby.
Brandy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Harlem or the Bronx?
The Bronx.
Okay. Outside of singing, photographer, filming, or director?
Director.
Which was harder for you to master on Kids Incorporated, dancing or acting?
Dancing.
Okay. Rufus and Chaka Khan or Chaka Khan?
Eek. Damn you. Oh, shit. That's cold. Oh, that's tough. Fuck. Chaka Khan.
You're collaborating with Sade.
Ooh.
Do you write a new song or do you remake one she's already done?
Write a new one.
Nice. Okay. Pick one of these Rufus songs. Okay.
Ooh.
Blue Love, Destiny,
Ooh.
or Heaven Bound?
I can't stand you. I can't stand you. Shit. That's cool. Blue Love.
Okay. Chaka. Twisted or Our Love is in Danger?
Twisted.
Okay. Which one? Laying in bed watching documentaries on Netflix or going out to have a house music spiritual moment?
Oh, out at the house music.
So do you like go-go music too? Okay. Okay. So here's the end. And look, it's your birthday, so you could decide. But when I say this is it. I'm gonna say a name, and I want you to say a word or sing a line that immediately comes to your spirit in this moment.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? So you ain't got to sing. We want you to, but you ain't got to. You can say you can say a word, whatever comes to mind. When I mention these names. All right. Sarah Vaughan.
Have you met old Jones? Someone said as we shook hands, he was just old Jones to me.
Yes. Whitney Houston. Misunderstood.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Luther, go ahead. You done?
Yeah.
Okay. Look, I'm like this. Okay. Luther Vandross.
Yeah.
Velvet. Nice. Chaka Khan.
My baby.
Prince.
King.
Michael Jackson.
Alien.
Sade.
Mona Lisa.
Young Thug or Rihanna?
I like Young Thug's album covers. Yeah. Young.
Okay.
I love Rihanna though.
No, I know you do. I know. Billie Holiday.
Strange Fruit.
Shanice.
Pure Heart.
Faith Evans.
You get no love from me. And a beast and a beautiful spirit. Tender. Yeah.
Layla Hathaway.
Otherworldly. Yeah.
Yeah, she said in an interview I did with her that if Rashaan Patterson is there, I cannot fail. So that's what she said about you. Francis and the Lights.
Oh. I can't think of the song. That's my favorite. Fuck. Francis and the Lights. I can't think of the song. That's my favorite. But I love them.
Love them.
Yeah.
Back to the Kids Incorporated. Fergie.
Stacy. That's Stacy.
Mario Lopez.
Oh, wrestling.
Wrestler.
Yeah.
Cy Smith.
Aquarius.
Jamie Jazz.
Love.
Rochelle Farrell.
Nano.
And Rashaan Patterson.
Blessed.
Last question. Today is Rashaan's birthday, everybody. So Rashaan, what do you wish for yourself?
Content. Yeah.
Well, I want to put this flyer out because it's a Chicago date coming up, January 21st at the City Winery, right? And so if y'all in Chicago are, you know what I'm saying, y'all win this lottery that come out, the Mega Millions,
okay.
Go on and fly in and see Rashaan do his thing. And he's got some tour dates coming up. You know what I'm saying? Chicago, Philly, blues and jazz. Where's that at?
Bethesda, Maryland.
Oh, thank you. I was having a hard time with that hooked on phonics word.
Okay.
And you're gonna be in Detroit on the
June 21st.
June 21st. So, you know, we outside, y'all. We outside. You know what I'm saying? So go and support Rashaan Patterson at these shows. And is there anything that you want to say to your fans? And it's been an absolute thrill for me. Lynette said the shows are sold out.
Chicago is. You can come to Philly though.
Yeah. He said
or Detroit.
Philly can't wait. Yes.
Or Maryland.
Yeah. There's some other places.
Yeah.
And she said, we love you so much, Rashaan.
Thank you. Thank you.
You've got nothing but love in these comments. You know what I'm saying? I just
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I'm just keyed into you. So I don't want you guys to think that I ignored you. It's just the way I do.
Right. How it happens sometimes. Just thank you. And it means the world that people have been impacted, influenced, loved in return by me through the music. And it means a lot to be supported all these years and to have been seen and heard, you know, and to be able to live in a time where social media allows for people to get a clear view of who you are, if you are someone who is authentic, you know, to be relatable in that way, you know. I think in the past with other artists that we know and love, we didn't have that kind of access. You know what I mean?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do.
Kind of access, which is why I think sometimes, as it relates to other artists some who have passed on, you know, we only had their music and their life in public.
Yeah.
And how their hardships translated through media creates a misunderstanding of an individual.
Come on.
You know, it's important for me to share that because over the last, you know, 10, 11, 12, 15 years now with social media, we as performers and artists are able to really be hands-on with people who support what we do. And they really get to see who we are if we allow ourselves to be transparent and real, you know, and humanized.
Yeah.
You know?
So social media has been a good thing for you.
It has been a good thing in that way for a lot of us.
Okay.
For a lot of us, you know. And social media has presented the opportunity for artists to just be real people.
Yeah. Yes. Humans.
Yeah, just to be real people. You know what I'm saying? So I'm grateful to people, you know, who have followed my career since I was 10, you know, and they watched me grow up.
Yes. Yes.
You know, and they've grown up with me.
Yeah.
You know, so that really is a lot be cherished for me. And I feel that when people come to my shows and I get to interact with them afterwards, you know, like there's history. There's like there's a lot of history there with the majority of people who come. I'm grateful to the new people too, you know.
Right.
Because social media does allow for, you know, the discovery of your work.
Yeah.
Through people sharing and reposting and all that kind of stuff. So we get to see firsthand new people that come into your social media spaces. You know what I'm saying? And how helpful it is when people do repost and share stuff, you know, because it turns you on to people that may not have ever had the opportunity to discover who you are and what you do. So,
and it goes back so far. Like, before I let you go, I want to know, when you look at that clip that we look at of you on Star Search, when I mean, like when you was talking about your dad, I was like, you must have got your charisma from him, because the way in which you weren't just I stole that's the wrong word. I reposted
The clip from Star Search.
From Star Search. No, I reposted a clip that you had of Whitney talking about I don't just sing, I entertain.
Right.
And that Star Search clip of you from such a young age embodies that. You didn't just sing, you entertain, and have been doing so since then, since the beginning. When you look at that, do you see what we see?
I do. I see what you see. And that is the wonderful thing about YouTube. Is that, you know, YouTube has me as a child, you know?
Yeah.
Where people can access to see me as a child. So I get to have those moments also.
Good. Because
I was just like,
because it's you. Because it's you.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But when that clip is so contagious. When I'm just like, look at him. Look at him. He is
crazy,
still like a grown man. Like he's been doing this for 50 years.
Okay, and at that point it was only 2 years.
But it came across like, you know what I'm saying, you Shirley Temple up in here. You've been doing this.
Basically. But it's funny, when I see that clip, I also think about how there were people at the time who took issue with the fact that I was going to be on the show because I was already on TV. I was already on Kids Incorporated.
Oh,
so
like, double dipping.
Right, like why he get to be on there? But I was able to be on there because I was a part of an ensemble with Kids Incorporated. This was a solo opportunity.
Yes.
You know, and so many memories come up when I see that clip. Also, I only performed on there because Shanice did it the year before.
Who's also amazing.
Yeah. And it was just an opportunity to sing. And I really loved to sing at that age.
You entertained us too. You didn't just I mean, you said you went up there singing Mary Had a Little Lamb, like, and then you had the cuteness, the camera angles, you looking at us. I mean, I was just like, wow. I said Shirley Temple. I should have said Michael Jackson, because just the charisma, you know what I'm saying, at such an age, and then having the vocal ability to deliver what your face and your body is giving. I'm like, wow. And, you know, and then to fast forward and see Rashaan on stage coming up in Chicago in 2023, you about to get the same thing on a deeper, different, you know, evolutionary level. But that same core remains.
It does. It does. It does. That moment was wonderful for me. It turned bittersweet because after I won, the other two competitors in the category, when we went backstage, they were heartbroken and they were crying. And their fathers were comforting them. And it was in that moment that I realized that I was not about the competitive aspect of singing, and that wasn't something that made me feel good. Because for me, it wasn't about winning. It was an opportunity to sing and be exposed, but I wasn't there to win.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? I had already experienced a win by being on TV, but when I saw how heartbroken they were and them crying, and then like their fathers comforting them, I was like, I don't really like that part of it, which is why, you know, with these competitive singing shows now, like, I respect the fact that it creates opportunities for people. I just don't like competitive part of it. And that stemmed from Star Search, when after winning and then seeing how much hope people put into that moment and their desire to achieve a win and an opportunity, because my life was not based on that and rooted in that and how my trajectory has been, I don't identify with that. With the desire, like, oh my God, I want it so bad.
Yeah.
I understand it though. And but yeah, that moment I just was like, oh, this doesn't feel good. You know what I mean? So I won and was like, oh, I won, but then it was like, oh.
Right. Because let's not forget that you were still a kid too.
Exactly. And I wasn't the type of kid that was like, oh, whatever. You know what I mean?
Right.
I actually took in the moment. I was actually present to walking by and seeing and stopping to watch the fathers comfort their sons, and that didn't make me feel good.
Wow. Well, I'm glad because you're a collaborative spirit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And
totally.
and so you're supported, but you also support others, and we need more of that. Just period. No matter what you do, no matter what you do. Well, I don't want you to get out here without doing a drop for me. You got to say,
okay,
I'm Rashaan. You watching studio something. I got to have this for life.
Okay. What's up? This is Rashaan Patterson, and you're watching Quencie.
On Studio Q.
On Studio Q. On Studio Q.
Yeah.
Hey, what's up? This is Rashaan Patterson, and you're watching Quencie on Studio Q.
Oh my God, thank you, Rashaan. This
now
has
the
been
fact that you made me do a drop in front of whoever's watching is crazy. You ain't even wait till after the shit was over. We got the camera. Shit. And them drops be, oh my God. Like that's a part of the whole like and stuff like, can you do me this drop? Them drops be a mug. Drops be a bug.
Man, this has been so wonderful. Like the first interview of the year.
Thank you for having me be the first one.
Yeah. And I mean, to be quite honest, I just don't know who coming next after this. I just really I'm gonna do it the Rashaan way. I'm gonna take my time.
Exactly, and let it come to you.
Yeah. Because these are the kind of conversations that mean something to me, to the people that are watching. And I'm sure you could tell that I'm just not asking you your favorite color.
Oh, right. and I hope you can tell that my answers, go further than where they would go if you did ask me what my
And I just want you to know I had to pray because I'm like, I'm loud and Rashaan is quiet.
Listen, when I tell you, I could be loud. People that know me know that.
Yeah. I figured that. I said, God is still, gotta move me. I just want to make sure I don't overtalk him or anything because, your answers are so good. They so good.
Thank you.
Good.
Your questions are so good.
Thank you. I live for that answer. Thank you so much.
You're so welcome.
And what you doing for your birthday?
I'm gonna go see those kids right now.
Yay!
Yes. Get some of that love for my birthday.
Yay!
And then I'm gonna see where the rest of the thing takes me.
Nice. Well, I wish you a happy birthday. Everybody in this comment section is giving you so much love. And I'm wishing that for you for this year and every year afterwards.
Thank you so much.
See you in these internet streets.
Yes, I can't wait to meet you in person too, though.
Now, can I just say off top, based on what I learned from Whitney, you already my friend. I'm coming in for a hug.
Okay, exactly. Shit, I knew you when I saw that interview. I said, oh, okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I'm not making the same mistake twice.
Okay. I look forward to it though.
I do too. I can't wait to see you sing live. I really can. I've only seen it on YouTube, but I look forward to the opportunity be like the rest of the people in the comment section with a story about seeing you perform.
I look forward to that.
Yay! Thank you guys for joining us.
Thank y'all.
And, tell a friend to go see Rashaan, pick up that, Heroes and Gods album. Follow him on Instagram. You know what? During this whole freaking interview, I had a banner for you, all your social, every single Twitter, Facebook, and this is when I'm running it.
It's all
we
good.
saying goodbye.
It's all right. It's all right. Because had it been running the whole time, it would have felt like the news.
That's true. Very CNN. Yeah.
Yeah, we're not doing that.
Yeah. Well, love you so much for taking the time on your
so
actual birthday.
Yes.
To talk with me and allow your fans to access you.
Yes.
That's a huge honor. So have a great birthday.
Thank you so much.
Peace, you guys. Thank you for joining.